Hello, my name is J.Talos, and I will be responding to scenario 1. I've worked as an instructional coach for 5 years now. When I moved into the instructional coach job, I was split between two buildings. One was a junior high where I had worked previously for 1 year, and the other was an elementary school that I had never stepped foot in. And when I first got there, I realized, wow, if I don't build relationships with the teachers that I'm working with, the work that needs to get done isn't going to get done. When I look at this scenario, I think to myself, I don't have a relationship with this teacher. If they're showing up late and they're having some hesitation or resistance and feel that the only reason that they're having to do this is because their principal is mandating it, then they don't see the value behind instructional coaching and the work that we get to do together. Building that relationship both personally and professionally is going to be my first step in working with a teacher who isn't really on board with the process of coaching. Once I've established that relationship, we can really start to dig into the why behind instructional coaching. As adults and learners, we have to understand the why. If we don't buy in, and without that buy-in, that work gets pushed to the back burner. If I've established that relationship, I can now start to dig into the why behind instructional coaching. And I think the first step after the relationship is built is to really build on a teacher's strengths. I think back to a time when I worked with a 5th grade teacher who had been teaching for 35 years. She had great systems and great procedures in place. However, some of the things that she was doing were a little outdated. She'd been doing this for a long time. She had amazing guided reading centers, rotations, however you want to call it, but some of the things that she was doing in those centers weren't really appropriate for the kids that she had in her classroom. Her procedures were amazing, her structures were amazing, but we could do a little bit of tweaking to build on what was being done content-wise. We did have the new literacy curriculum that we could pull on resources, and working together, we were able to really pinpoint how we could build students' phonemic awareness, how we could build their vocabulary, and so much more by tweaking what we were doing in the centers together. We started off with a skill that this teacher was really good at, her procedures and structures, and then looked at the content that we were doing in those stations and were really able to push the students in her classroom. So I've built a relationship. We've talked about strengths and we've built on those strengths, which only makes the teacher feel more confident in their instruction. And then we look at the team as a whole. When I think about a grade level team, I think about how are they working together? Are they collaborating? Are they playing together? And what can I do as an instructional coach to help be that outside perspective to continue pushing them further along? As I mentioned, that elementary school that I work in, we have 2 teachers per grade level. We have a monolingual teacher in an English-speaking classroom and a dual language teacher in a Spanish-speaking classroom. Prior to the work that we had done together, those 2 were very separate. They had barriers such as different teaching personalities, just different personalities in general. And also, they didn't understand that just because we teach in different languages doesn't mean we can collaborate. Being that outside perspective into the group, I was able to show to them how we can do this together. They understood the why behind it, and we were able to push and move forward, which ultimately always benefits students. I've built a relationship, we've worked on strengths, we've built the collaboration amongst the team, and now we can start doing some work that really is going to accelerate learning. I like to do peer observations because I think that we learn best when we learn from each other. Obviously, we all love a workshop, we all love a professional development day, but when we can learn from one another, the people that we work next to and eat lunch with, it's really powerful. Obviously, peer observations are scary at first. When we set the correct expectations and really great norms, we go into there with a very clear understanding of what we're looking for and what we hope to get out of it. Again, that why. Without it, we don't know what we're doing. Once we have a grasp on what our why is, we can move forward and continue accelerating our learning and really push ourselves and ultimately our students.